What was one big surprise you had in this, your research and your work that um, going in you just didn't expect, and it emerged from the actual field work that in the sites?
Um, the fact that the arts can often be a counterbalance. Um, when I first came to UCI in 1998, the arts were really a hot topic. James Catterall at UCLA and Elliot Eisner up at Stanford were really making some leeway in talking about what the arts contribute to education as a whole, especially Eliot's ideas about the arts as representation. That to remember, students really have to be able to represent concepts to themselves, and how this can really be key in helping students absorb and remember and compare. And then you had No Child Left Behind. And everything seemed to be about math and literacy, which are very important, but the arts kind of got left behind in a lot of ways. And during No Child Left Behind, using technology to help children learn, to drill really, vocabulary, learning skills, and math skills, became very popular. And because I do like to go out in schools, and when I was down working in San Diego, I took at least one trip a week down to San Diego for 7 years. So I wasn't around here as much. What I noticed is the passivity. That the children I was working with were in schools that were considered low performing. Um, and there was a lot of drilling just to get the test scores up. And they just weren't as energetic uh, and weren't as curious. And what I noticed is that they would get very excited when the teaching artists would come in, because we had very good teaching artists. A lot of them were professional actors and professional dancers who did this as a kind of another profession. So they juggled those two things within the same week. And so they were very lively. The kids would be there. The teachers would tell us that the kids would really be disappointed if for some reason the school had something else going on Wednesday, which was their day of art. And slowly I realized that the arts were a counterbalance to the kids. They really saw it as a way to get away from the routine, to interpret. For example, it might be a story they had read in their reading curriculum, but when they were presenting it themselves and they were thinking how that character thought and reacting to the interactions with the other characters, it became real for them. It was almost kind of like it lit up. There was an energy. And that was what really became a discovery, a miracle for me. When you can go into a classroom and the kids are just kind of, and by the end of just 50 minutes, they're smiling and they're lively. And in that state of mind, they absorb so much more. And so I really became convinced the arts have something to contribute to the curriculum. And I notice a lot of teachers feel the same way, that a lot of progress has been made in teaching through technology, but there's another part of the children which the teachers really want to address, and that the arts can help you with this.
And I think you mentioned something about how the arts help in students understand the perspective of others, get into the identity of particular characters. And I think that ability to perspective taking, understanding how others might interpret and see the world.
Theory of mind, yeah, exactly. The teachers mentioned that a lot. In fact, I would say when we interviewed the teachers, it was the effect on the social emotional development that they always brought up, and the sense of community in the classroom. That a few of them said that, I had this child who was a bit of a bully at the beginning of the year and came to feel more like a member of the group and began relating to the other kids in different ways. So, yeah, that's something that doesn't come up very often because the focus is so much on the content area learning. But I do think that was the most valuable thing from the point of view of many teachers.
Well, and if arts can help us just a little bit in helping us appreciate and develop our humanity, then boy, do we need it in our schools.
Yeah, it's a fun thing. That's the thing. It's a great joy to be in the school working with kids on these things.